Buharimeter. Buharimeter is a program aimed at promoting democratic accountability in Nigeria through tracking, measuring, and creating awareness about the implementation of promises made by President Muhammadu Buhari during the 2015 general elections. Powered by CPD Abuja.
Listen to Buharimeter. 6:30 Mondays on 95.1 Nigeria Info.
Thank you for staying with us. 7 minutes after 7, and we'll continue the review of the 2018 Federal Appropriation Bill and estimate as put together by the Center for Social Justice for the Citizens World Platform. Our guest is Mr. Eze Onyebere, and we've looked at a lot of concerns and issues in our intro. We're about to take it to the next level.
Yes, I was going to ask, you see, one of the things that was on the news, one of the news items was the fact that the president was looking to establish a single unified market in Africa in order to create more jobs. Mm-hmm. And yet one of the conspicuous things that jump out of the budget is the fact that there is no allotment, as it were, for jobs. The budget is actually silent on, according to your review, silent on employment and job creation. Yet, we just heard the news in which he was concerned about job creation. Do you think is there a disconnect somewhere?
No, we did not say there was no provision as such. It was like, you are going to spend money, 8.6 trillion, which we are told is the biggest since Nigeria came on board. Now, there must be targets to say, when I finish spending this money, this is the number of jobs I will have created. Mm-hmm. That's part of the dysfunctionalities of our budgeting process and system, because it is not tied to outcomes and what you want to achieve at the end of the day. To say, for instance, beyond even the jobs, if you are spending money in maternal, newborn, and child health, Nigerians should be able to know that, considering that we are one of the highest in terms of maternal and child mortality and morbidity, in the highest, the negative side in the world, to say, by the time we finish spending this money this year, we are going to reduce it by X%. We heard that we have close to 10 million children out of school, and you are budgeting money for universal basic education. You should be able to tell us that it is 10 million this year. Next year, we finish spending money for 2018, we'll reduce it to, say, 9. By next year, 7, it keeps moving. So what we're saying is that if we're spending this huge amount of money, we must tie it to the number of jobs. And that opens up another Pandora box, which is about frivolities in the budget, inappropriate expenditure, unclear and wasteful expenditure. We are all living witnesses to the fact that the acting president then launched a set of executive orders. Mm-hmm. And prominent among them was the Buy Made in Nigeria campaign. And while we are saying Buy Made in Nigeria, Ministry of Trade is launching a campaign, getting billions to go and popularize the mantra. You look at the budget and all you see is that each executive director, each executive secretary, each commissioner or commissioner is ordering for a specific car, the most specific of the cars. I need to call the name, forget if you call it advert. Everybody wants to drive a Prado Jeep, a Toyota car or a Nissan car. Now, there are the equivalent of those cars being done by PAN, and being done by Innocent and Nnewi, being done even the assembling some of the Nissan products in Nigeria. So how can you create jobs if you are shipping out the little money that comes out of your country? Because those vehicles you want to buy are made outside Nigeria. You are creating jobs in those countries. And as those companies make profits, they also pay bigger corporate tax to their government. Those their citizens that they put in jobs also pay personal income tax. So it's a loss arrangement, an arrangement where we lose everything. Because if that money comes back into Nigeria, these companies are going to hire more hands. They are going to make more profits. They'll pay more tax. Those they hire will also pay tax. So that's the disconnect where you begin to see the issue of tying policy into the budget. Because I've always maintained that there is a continuum which Nigeria has always ignored. Is the plan, policy, budget continuum. It's like a rolling chain. You make your plans, your policies, and they must reflect in your budget. If they're not reflected in your budget, you've wasted time, because that's the only way the government can put down resources to begin to implement them. Now, the other central issue is about what are our priorities. You look at the Ministry of Finance, it got the highest vote of about 26.10%, right? Mm-hmm. That 0.10% is 0.10 is maybe for the routine running of the ministry. 26 is for mainly for debt service because of the DMO, which is under them. Then you look at the other second highest ministry, is the Ministry of Budget and Planning with about 20%. And a good chunk of that money is service-wide votes. Now, what is service-wide votes? If I may explain it in simple language, is that monies that should have gone to different MDAs for them to spend are aggregated somewhere under the presidency in a way and manner that is not accountable. In a way and manner that it is left to the whims and discretions of the people there. Let me explain. Since 1999, go and look at our budgets. You will always see a lump sum in the budget for sustainable Millennium Development Goals, now Sustainable Development Goals. In the current budget, there is 51 billion or thereabout for Sustainable Development Goals. And these goals, I understand about, is it about 17 in number, right? Now, some are dealing with education, some are dealing with health, some are dealing with water, some are dealing with agriculture, different sectors of life. Now, we have a ministry in charge of water resources. We have another in charge of education and health. Why pull 51 billion together without listing the activities, the goods, the services, the construction, the deliverables? It's just a lump sum, 51 billion. What does that mean? So nobody has a right to spend public money in a way and manner not known to that public who are the sovereigns in a constitutional democracy, because this money could be abused. You lump down the whole sum of 45 billion, Northeast Intervention Fund, no details. So you see all kinds of funny things just put in the budget. I call them funny.
No way even within.
So how can you monitor? How can you monitor? It's not available to us. It's not available on the website. I'm talking of the public. The budget is not the budget of the president. Neither is it that budget of the PAMSEC or the minister or the gentleman in the National Assembly. They are our servants, our representatives. So they cannot. So we should be able, if you want to track Millennium Development Goals and there's 51 billion, where do you start? You go to the presidency and say, I want to track Millennium Development Goals. Where did you invest 51 billion? So the point is that we should be able to know the actual activities. So that, like, if you say you want to buy a car, if I walk in there, I could say, could I see the car you bought? Or you show me, say, okay, there was an advert for the car. So these are the kind of things that are challenging. And the Rossana Committee had actually stated that this service-wide vote should be scrapped. The money should be given to the separate ministries. If you are doing something on health under the SDGs, give it to the Ministry of Health. If it's about food and agriculture, reducing hunger, give it to Ministry of Agriculture. If it is about water, give it to Ministry of Water Resources. So about education, so that you know who to hold accountable, and they will list the activities that they are about to do. So this is also another challenge. We have not gotten our priorities quite right. And then we complain there's no money. So in between these two votes, 26%, 20%, you have already, how many, what percent? Almost 47% of the budget, almost yanked off. Yeah, debts, they will say they'll pay debts. You're not seeing anybody. That's a different kettle of fish. Let's agree. So close to half of your budget yanked off before you now begin to start all this small prioritization. What do you give to education? What do you give to health? What do you give to power works and housing? So these are key challenges.
Really seeing that education is coming third with 7.03%.
Yes.
Fourth place, Ministry of Power Works and Housing with 6.85% of the vote. Ministries of Interior and Defense followed with 6.67% and 6.59% respectively. And the Ministry of Health and Agriculture, Agriculture, Poultry, according to your report, 3.95% and 2.01% of the vote. It just also tells us our priority.
Our priorities. Now, if you look at the Ministry of Education, even a good part of that vote is mainly recurrent. You know, paying of salaries with little or nothing going to the capital end of the ministry. The same thing with the Ministry of Health. So, in a sense, there are a lot of things that could be done, and doing it well in such a way that we can release more money to these key ministries. For instance, even the Ministry of Works, Power and Housing. Why should you merge the three ministries? You know, it creates the impression you've given them so much money, but if you disaggregate it in between three of them,
Very little.
you discover that it's very little. And these are the three key sectors that hold the economy, either hold it down or allow it to make progress. The highest stock of wealth in every nation, okay, for individuals and even for government most of the times, is the housing. The highest investment most people make in their life, beyond training their children, is the house they build. Now, you know what power does? You know that you cannot do good services industry without power. And even our previous economic documents have stated that the power sector being down has held back economic growth and development in Nigeria. Now, what do you say about works with poor road networks, keeps down man hours when people should be working, causing a lot of accidents, bodily harm, and even loss of lives? So at the end of the day, these three key ministries should be separated and given to three different ministers who will wake up individually, sleeping and dreaming and thinking power or works or housing. Look at Fashola, you could see, there's gray hair all over. Each time you see him talking, you could see he's like the whole world is on his head. He's just like trying to breathe. But he will not agree, but that is the truth. Because there's no way one person can carry all this heavy luggage all on his head. Although there are ministers of state, it would have been better if these ministers are made substantive ministers and you'll be held responsible for a particular sector. So this is also another key challenge that is coming out of the budget.
Interesting, and I'm sure you have issues also that you have concerns about the budget. If you have done a thorough job like our guest yesterday, Zugekere has done, you can raise them also with your questions, comments. Would appreciate it if you send messages, tweet at Nigeria Info, ABJ, or send via WhatsApp to 0809 9930 137. Now, we can discuss all of this and not look at some of your recommendations also
Okay.
to the government. I know from the report we saw some of the challenges well articulated by you and the positive areas also of the budget. We'll look at those areas and then summarize with a recommendation.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me move straight to the recommendations. I think because this is the key gravamen of the project. At the end of the day, all the analysis, if it doesn't have recommendations, you're going nowhere. We have clearly stated that they should increase the benchmark price of oil to get more money, to reduce the deficit. Three key areas: education, health, and agriculture. They have international benchmarks 26, 15, and 10. But we're asking that they should at least meet up to 50% of this, because we know other sectors have things to be done on them. So they should move the vote to agriculture to about maybe 5%. The one for health, they could go up to 7.5. The one for education, they could get up to 13. And then this is where the big picture comes in. The government must not necessarily fund every endeavor of our lives. Government doesn't have the money. The money is not there. So what do? In health, as you're increasing the vote for health, you make health insurance compulsory. Universal and compulsory. Everybody who earns the minimum wage should be able to have.
An act, but no one is acting on
No. It's not compulsory. It's not compulsory. Okay. Forget the trumping of universal health coverage. There's nothing backing it up. It's just like some international fad, and even the ministers and everybody talks about it without lifting a finger in that direction. So if you make health insurance compulsory, like I always argue, if you can buy a Tukumbo vehicle from Europe, America, Asia, which is 15 years, and you are going to insure it, what do you do about your life and your health, which is more important, your Tukumbo car or your health? So I believe health should be compulsory. Secondly, in the work sector, we should have a national road fund and the National Road Management Authority. We have to resuscitate under that road fund. We have to resuscitate the toll gates of key routes. We have to resuscitate them. And we have to resuscitate them with technology in such a way. It's not like you give somebody, says 5,000 cars will pass in a day, and you say only 200. There's a technology that as the cars pass is counting and recording somewhere. All right? We introduce the technology. We could also put some little funding, because if you look at even the act setting up FEMA, it talked about a 5% surcharge on every liter of fuel sold, but we have politicized the fuel question.
We pay that, don't we?
I don't know whether we are still paying it. I don't think we are paying. They've not had the effrontery or the the way little children, these boys say they live or whatever to implement that. But I say, over the weekend I was in Owerri. I also spent my Christmas in the East. It's only in Abuja here, maybe Lagos, that people are paying 145. And so I don't see the reason. I mean, 2 days ago on Saturday, while the airport taxi was taking me to town, they paid 190. And they told me that that was a good filling station, that they were doing 200, 220. During Christmas, we bought 250. Officially at the fuel, it's not that they were hiding it. So in other parts of beyond Lagos and Abuja, people already paying. So there's nothing stopping them from having a slight increase. No, I am serious.
Okay.
So why should you discriminate? Why should the gentleman in Owerri and the Enugu pay 220 and you stay in Abuja and you pay 145? Are we not the same
Nigerians?
DPR should do something about them. If the ceiling is 145,
okay, ask yourself, why has DPR failed
to go,
refused and neglected to go there throughout Christmas? They didn't lock up one filling station. If you ask the marketers, they tell you that they don't buy at the rate other people buy. I don't know whether they're lying or, but beyond Abuja and Lagos, tell me where else they're enforcing these things. So you may say, oh, and else everybody will say this. Are those people not Nigerians? Are there two sets of Nigerians? Those living within Abuja and Lagos, where the media, where you always be and cover, and those who are living in those forgotten parts of the world, of Nigeria. So I'm saying we can raise some money through a small surcharge on the price of petroleum, and there are other ways. And I also talked about rehabilitating the National Housing Fund so that more money can come in for on-lending to Nigerians who are depositors with the fund.
So you're saying Nigerians have to carry the weight of all of this?
No. There is what is called domestic resource mobilization. No country develops when people want to be irresponsible. No. It's not impoverished. It's not impoverished. Why are we able to pay for pension for you? Remember before the Obasanjo regime, it was like everybody will wait. At the end of the day, nobody gets paid. They now deduct something. You must plan. No matter how poor you are, you must put aside something for the rainy day. I'm not talking because I'm comfortable. Every nation in the world that must develop, the citizens, we can't continue waiting for handouts. The citizens must come together. The water running in my village down there in the southeast, we paid for it. The community contributed. The electricity, we paid for it. We put the poles, the wires, and everything. Even today, that the Enugu Disco is now collecting tariffs from our sweat. So what's the big deal?
Well, the government will have to go a long way to assuage fears of people, because with all that has been paid, everyone is a chairman of his own area, his own province. Good. Very little has been
now that also means that we stop our lackadaisical attitude towards demanding accountability. We can't simply all go to sleep. Allow these people, because if you pay, that gives you an entitlement. If you pay your tax, to now sit down and make sure you demand for proper accountability.
But Mr. Izzy, here's the thing. A couple of years ago, they said, look, Nigeria's going to get better if they take out the subsidy and we pay more money. Now, they did take out the subsidy, but we entered into recession.
Let me answer you right away.
What are the guarantees?
Hold on, you are importing fuel. Hold on, you are importing fuel, right? And your fuel is imported in dollars. Okay. And so you did this review, and when you are Naira to the dollar was about 199, 200. Today it's not the same. Officially it's 305, but nobody gets it at 305. It's about 360 something. The answer is to start refining fuel domestically. Even if you refine it, the price, government removes subsidy, the price will still be a bit high. Although it may not be as high as we have today. So, but there's still nothing stopping government from adding a 5% surcharge. But what we should do, insist on, is to insist that it is properly accounted for. Now, I ask you that the drivers in the Owerri, in Enugu, are paying 192.20. What is the surcharge? 145. Between 145 and 190, is it not a 45 naira surcharge? What percent is it? Those who are paying 20, is it not about 60 something? What percent is it? Already, Nigerians are already paying for it. Okay, only a few people.
Because it's happening on the low. It's not affecting things just yet. But the minute the government comes out,